Hi guys, Jake Meakin here. Let's get into major scale essentials lesson number 2. I've thought about making this one a super practical one on the guitar so we can just glide through and play, essentially play and improvise and write quite quickly from one exercise I've created here. That's the plan. Okay, I'm in drop D tuning, so before we do anything, let's just do that. Can you hear how my E string is now dropped down to D? So if I just pop it back up to E, if you haven't done it before, I'll show you how to just drop down into D, or use a tuner if you've got one. But if not, or if you choose to work with your ear, try this. Back up to E. Now I'm going to take my E string, I need to drop it with my machine head here. I'm going to come around to my right there to drop that down. And to find the key, let's just play string 4, which is a D string. And we're going to match the sound, but a lower octave on our E string. Check this out. Might take a couple of tries. One more, I'll pop it back up to E. Play my D string, drop it down to that. Match the two up, sounds pretty good to me. So I drop D, I've got an extra D and then now nice and low. Play with the D chord. Beautiful! Okay, for this exercise we're going to need to learn a few shapes. If you're new to guitar or new to some of these chords, pay attention to this and we'll move on fairly quickly, alright? So, starting with a D major chord, I'm going to have finger 1, string 3, fret 2. Finger 2, string 1, fret 2, and my third finger is going to come in between the two to create a little bit of a triangle shape, if that's how your mind works, on fret 3, string 2. And because I've got that drone of a D on my low end, I can actually hit all 6 strings, which is going to be true of this whole exercise. So my D major chord, I'll come a little closer there so you can see that, D major like that. Now we're going to work this sequence by counting in numbers, and also just whether something's major or minor or diminished for chord 7. So let's just learn 3 different shapes to start. Major, you've got. Minor, we've got to drop 1 note. Our top F sharp here on fret 2 needs to drop to fret 1. In doing so, we've got to switch our fingers around. So the finger in for that one, for our minor shape. Finger 1, fret 1, string 1. Finger 2 is going to just skip over there to string 3, fret 2, and finger 3 on fret 3, string 2. So my D minor again with the drone. Sounds lovely. Now I'm not going to be playing a D minor, we're actually going to be taking that up the neck. So E minor, F sharp minor, and a B minor here. Okay, but we'll get to that. So far, 2 shapes to work with, major and minor. Our diminished chord, which is chord 7, we're going to deal with when we get there. So for now, let's get rolling straight away, okay? Chord 1, D. Chord 2, I need to come up a tone, because if you remember back on our episode 1 of Major Scale Essentials, we used a sequence of tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone to get us from a starting point through a major scale. That's a formula that will work across the board on any instrument on this planet. Okay, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. D, upper tone, will be 2 frets. D, upper semitone, just 1 fret like that, okay? But we need to, as we go up, we also need to go up to a minor chord, because again, what we did last time when we were doing our harmonized scale, which is essentially what we're doing now but in the key of D, we learned that throughout the tones and semitones, we need to change major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, and then back to our original. So let's do that with this. We've got our 2 shapes to work with. Chord 1 is major. Hit that drone in there, it sounds gorgeous. Going up a tone, and switching to a minor shape. See what my hand did there? A little close up on that. D major, upper tone, so 2 frets. And using what we know as our D minor shape. So we've gone from chord 1 to 2, major to minor. Chord 2 to 3, upper tone, staying minor. Keep that drone in there again. Major, minor, minor. Semitone, because that's where we're at in our sequence. And to a major chord, so I need to switch around, slide up by 1 fret with my 3rd finger there, and round to a major shape. Let's put the first 4 together. Alright. Chord 5, just up a tone, keep it major. First 5 together, major, upper tone, minor, minor, upper tone, semitone and major, tone and major. Keep going. Chord 6 is a minor chord, using our minor shape, upper tone, gives us a B minor there. First 6 chords together. this is where we get to chord 7 and the diminished chord that I said we'd talk about. From chord 6, if I've got finger 1, 2 and 3 on 10, 11 and 12, my third finger needs to slide up a tone to 14. Either side of that we're going to grab fingers 1 and 2 on both on fret 12, giving us this shape here for a diminished chord with an E in the root. A D in the root, sorry. That gives us the diminished for the 7th chord, creates a bit of tension. If you can get up this high on your guitar, then we can resolve to our original shape there, right up on chords 14 and 15. I'll go backwards throughout. Hopefully you can hear how there's so much potential for songwriting here, so much potential for melody, vocals over there, that nice drone going through that. This is like the ultimate campfire song, alright? You sit there and you play through this and you're going to look impressive, you're going to sound impressive, but to you and I, right now, it's 2, 3 shapes, diminished chord there. Put them together, you can start to improvise between them. I could go on. Last time we spoke about it in numbers. With this, I want you just to feel a little more free with it. But if I was to do an example with some numbers, and I went chords 1, 3, 4, 5. Let's go chord 1, 3, 4, and 5. Start again. 1, 3, 4, and up to 5 again. Finish on the 1, sounds lovely. Okay. Let's get technical for just a second, because there may be a few of you out there who understand slash chords, and technically these are all slash chords because we're playing our low D below everything. So everything is a slash chord. We have a D, chord 2, which is actually an E minor in the key of D. We're not putting an E on the bottom of ours. We're putting an E on the bottom, a D on the bottom. So we get an E minor slash D. F sharp minor slash D, etc, etc. But I don't want to go too far into that. I just want you to have 7 chords, major minors, chord 7s are diminished, and you can play around with it a little bit, right? That's your first challenge, is to just write something with this. And really work with that nice low D, especially if you haven't before. It sounds great, very folky, very acoustic Zeppelin, Neil Young, that kind of sound. If you want to take that further, let's discuss a few more shapes. Again, a few more D shapes. So now we're going to replace our major chords with 2 different shapes. Major 7. Sounds beautiful on there, especially with that drone. And also our D7 shape. Okay, these shapes may be new to you, so let's just work them through a second. So our major 7 chord is three notes together on fret 3 there on our top 3 strings. I use 1 finger for those. You can absolutely play it with 3 fingers in there if you wish, but I think for this, while we're sliding around a little bit, we'll use finger 1 like that. So this chord here, our major 7 shape, is going to replace chords 1 and chord 4. Chord 5, which is also a major chord, we're going to replace with a dominant 7 chord. So if you haven't done this before, finger 1, fret 1, string 2, finger 2, fret 2, string 3, and finger 3, fret 2, string 1. Okay, we're playing diatonically in a major key here, so chord 5 is always lovely when you make it that dominant 7 chord. So to take our dominant 7 shape, pop it up there onto an A, sounds gorgeous. Okay, so that's the major chords done. That's a major 7 for chords 1 and 4, a dominant 7 shape for chord 5. Now minor chords, so chords 2, 3 and 6, we're going to take our D minor, but we're going to add a minor 7 by dropping this D to a C, giving us this shape here. Now again, because we're sliding around a lot, let's use finger 1 to bar over fret 1 on strings 1 and 2. Finger 2 is going to take the 2nd fret there. So again, we have our minor 7 shape to replace our minor chords over chords 2, 3 and 6. Okay, so let's hear what we can do right up to chord 6, I reckon, because it's chord 7 again, that pesky diminished chord, or diminished 7 chord, half diminished chord. That's what we're going to do for this one. God, it gets confusing. Let's get up to there, then we'll deal with that new one, okay? Clearly I have a problem with it. Okay, D major 7 to start. Minor 7 for chord 2, because we know it's minor. Minor 7 for chord 3. And we go a major for chord 4, so my major 7 shape comes in. Now with chord 5 we're going to go dominant 7, so my dominant 7 shape comes in. You can hear there's a bit more of a deeper melody with these chords through here, and you can mix them in with your first set of chords as well. Okay, chord 6, minor 7 shape again there, right up on frets 10 and 11. Okay, cool, let's have one more run through of those before we add chord 7. So D major 7, up to our minor 7 shape for chord 2, upper tone, minor 7 again, major 7, upper semitone, upper tone, we're going to our dominant 7, minor 7, upper tone there. Okay, so now we need to deal with chord 7. Usually, this is quite a tricky chord here, this minor 7 flat 5 or half diminished chord. I would be taking a C sharp, and then everything on fret 12 there, so my G, B and E. That gives us a gorgeous minor 7 flat 5 chord, which resolves to our D. But because we're not taking that root note with this, we're just adding our own drone, our own root note or slash chord. All we've got to do is bar 3 strings again, so like the major 7 shape. And then that will just slide beautifully back up to fret 14 to resolve, or down to fret 2 there. So we're going to go chord 1. Chord 2, minor 7, chord 3, minor 7, 4, major 7, dominant 7 for chord 5, minor 7 shape there for chord 6, half diminished chord, up on fret 12, and resolve to 14, and down we go. Alright, so we've got 2 different ways to run up and down this now. Here's a quick example of how we can put the 2 together. Sounds great. I love playing through this type of stuff. I hope so far it's making sense that all we're doing is taking shapes that we know, or if we don't know, we've learned today, hopefully. And because we understand our intervals, so tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, to go through a major scale, we can just shift our shapes up, slotting in whether they're major or minor or a diminished chord for chord 7, to create essentially a harmonized scale. Instead of just my D major scale, more to it now, isn't there? We can write like that. That's fantastic. One last thing I think we should try. Let's break it down. Let's take everything, just to see if this works. Let's take everything we know from our top string, our E string. We're going to take it off. We're going to just use what I would call a 4 for an inverted 5th. This shape here, okay? Now, chord 7 is going to be a bit of a problem. It always is, but we'll get to that. What this means when we do this is we just keep this shape right the way up. Chord 7, I just need to expand my shape. Bit of suspense to resolve there, okay? I like this because it takes away some of the flavour, it takes away some of the characteristics of those chords and makes this sound a bit more ambiguous. So we're playing with 4ths, which is an interval, or an inverted 5th is one way to look at it, which is just backwards. We'll get to that at some point, okay? But with this, I feel like I can really start to mold these notes and move them around, okay? Check this out, I'll show you an example. Start to add in some of my shapes where we're already. So what I've done there is I've taken my 4 for inverted 5th, upper tone, tone, semitone, tone, tone. We need to push it up another tone here and expand the shape there. So instead of being between 2 frets, I'm going to push it between 3. You can feel the tension to resolve the semitone back to our roots. One more time through that. This is just fingers 1 and 3 on frets 2 and fret 3 on strings 3 and 2. Just taking that shape as we go. Up a tone, tone, semitone, tone, tone there, and the semitone to finish. But just making sure we separate that last one there. Gorgeous. Can you tell I'm quite into these shapes? I just think it's fun. It's brash and it's big and it's bold. And to us, it's just a harmonized scale in the key of D. It's just a couple of different shapes shifted around with a bit of variety, going between major 7s, dominant 7s, minor 7s. There's a diminished chord in there. It's not too taxing on the hand. We've got that nice low drone in there with the drop D. And it sounds great. I think it instantly sounds great and it's accessible. So please, please, please piece this together, have a playthrough, try and come up with some ideas, maybe try and write some stuff, or just enjoy it and enjoy the fact that you can now maybe look at other people playing this type of thing and go, I know what you're doing, I get it. And it's cool. And with that, you can see with my playing today, you can start to get into it quite quickly. It sounds amazing. So impression mates with this one. Teach it on, as I always say. I think it's a good way to learn it even better. Comment below. Like, share, please do everything like that. That would be great to get the community going. And I'll put a PDF on the bottom as normal with some links to maybe just some tablature for the sequences we've done for the 3 different voicings. Have some fun. Thank you.